Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarah Fonzo, and I am Director of Campaigns and Days of Service here at Generation On. I am being joined by Betsy Peterson, Director of Learning to Give, and we're here to talk a little bit about the resources that we have available around the issue of literacy in February. For those of you who don't know, Generation On is the youth service division of Points of Light, and we believe that kids and teens can use their power and potential to make the mark on the world. And so our mission is to inspire, equip, and mobilize young people to take action that changes themselves and the world through service. At the 10,000-foot level, we tell inspirational stories of kids and teens making their mark. We equip young people with the tools and resources and training to aid them in making their mark. And then we mobilize youth across the country and around the world in their local and global communities. So we're here to talk about the issue of literacy. Why are we talking about literacy in February, you might wonder? And part of that is because on February 24th, it is World Read Aloud Day. And why is literacy important? Well, of course, we all know that literacy is the ability to read and write. And literacy is key to almost everything in life, including getting a job, succeeding at school, and just navigating everyday life. You know, imagine not being able to read street signs or a menu at a restaurant. And what's the need? Well, it's pretty big. You know, we know that in America alone, 60% of children in both 4th and 8th grade struggle with reading. We also know globally that nearly 1 billion people will enter the 21st century unable to read a book or sign their names, and 2/3 of those people are women and girls. So there's a lot of need both nationally and globally around this issue of literacy. The great news is that kids and teens can help, and literacy is a great area around which young people can take action through service and have real meaningful impact in their communities. And so we have projects around the issue of literacy that are age appropriate both for kids and for teens that go right to the heart of issues surrounding literacy, like addressing the lack of books. And so in that respect, we have projects that help young people organize book drives. We also have projects that help young people instill in their peers a love of reading. So we have one project that's about creating a magical reading carpet and another around creating bookworm bookmarks. And then finally, some young people across the country and around the world can't prepare for school, don't even have the things like pens or paper to take to school to help them learn to read and write. And so we have school supply projects that help young people organize around these issues. And so we have and more available on the Generation On site, both for kids and for teens. And I'll briefly take you to the site to show you what that looks like.
Hi, everyone. This is Betsy Peterson with Learning to Give, and I just want to give you a quick overview of learningtogive.org to help prepare you for the literacy activities in February. Learning to Give equips K-12 teachers to educate students as philanthropists with knowledge, skills, and behavior to be more compassionate and engaged citizens and lifelong givers of time, talent, and treasure. I want to familiarize you with some ready-to-use teaching resources related to literacy and beyond that will add a deep quality to your teaching and your school culture. As an outcome of doing the literacy projects that Sarah introduced and teaching lessons from Learning to Give, we want students to realize that they are good people who can make a difference. We want them to understand the importance of what they're doing and how to do it well. Let's imagine you plan to match your class of 4th graders with kindergartners as reading buddies, or your 11th graders with 5th graders as mentors. How do you prepare your students for this so both sets of kids feel the impact of the project? Imagine a teacher doing no prep and saying, today we're going to read to kindergartners, and here's the book you will read. There's not going to be a lot of engagement. The kids will get together, they'll read, and then the next day they'll forget about it. Some kids might be okay with that, but the kids you really want to benefit from this experience will miss out. We want to give you some sample lesson plans to help guide you so that it becomes meaningful for all of the kids. Help them understand a reason for being there so they feel needed. Help them build a relationship with the other kids so they build trust. Give the kids techniques and knowledge so they feel effective and successful when the younger students show improvement and interest. And to help select books matched to the interests of the students so to deepen conversation and good behavior. You know that the more you prepare your students, the more they take ownership of the experience, the more engaged they'll be and the more meaningful it will be for everyone involved. Experience is a great teacher, but experience that is surrounded by information, preparation, and personal motivation and infused with reflection is the best teacher. Here are some lesson plans that Sarah and I have picked out for you that accompany the literacy projects that she showed you. I'm going to show you one from several different grade levels. Here's one at the kindergarten, first and second grade level called community sharing. And in this one, using literature as a starting point, students discuss the benefits of sharing and contributing for the common good. They read and respond to the book, The Rainbow Fish, and think critically about sharing and how giving brought more happiness to the rainbow fish and harmony to the whole community. There's a real fun activity in here where kids do a little writing activity where they say something like, I wish people asked me to share my broccoli. I wish they didn't ask me to share my chocolate. And they start to develop an understanding of generosity. I also want to point out that all our lesson plans are aligned to standards. You can select Common Core and your grade level and subject, and then see what standards are aligned. For example, you can see this one is reading emergent level text with purpose and understanding. There are many more standards applied here, or you may pick your state for that purpose. Another lesson plan at the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade level is the important thing about reading. And this lesson helps students develop awareness of why reading is important for everyone. They learn that some students do not have access to books in the same way they do, and then they decide how they will take action to ensure that others have access to books. I want to point out that even though these lessons are very well scripted, they were written by teachers with the understanding that teachers have the professionalism and flexibility to pick and choose what they like and teach what fits their classroom. Another lesson I want to show you is at the middle school level called Reading to Elementary Teachers. In this one, the students increase their reading fluency and their understanding of philanthropy by reading to children. This might fit into the standards you already have at that grade level and can be adapted to your students' literature. The next one is called Literacy for You and Me, and the purpose of this lesson is for students to learn about literacy in our world, our nation, and our state, and their local community. And they reflect on literacy rate statistics, and they make a plan of action. The thing I like about this lesson is that the students connect to their local community, which is an important part of engaging their real deep purpose for the activity. Learning to Give is an entry point for introducing students to the issue of literacy, and we have many lessons that teach academic content and philanthropy skills while guiding students' service. There are many other subject areas and issue areas, and you can use our search engine to search the hundreds of lessons available. So you might pick a subject area, a content area, or an issue, add your subject and your grade level, and filter through the many, many lessons on our site. One other resource I want to show you under the Teach menu is our literature guides, and these are great tools to give to your students so they can guide a one-on-one interaction. I'm going to just open one up for you to see. I'll select the Sneetches. So the kids can get the book out of the library, meet up with their second grade buddy, and then this will walk them through before, during, and after discussion and questions, and then provide activities that are related to content or doing action in the community. So use these as a resource for you as you're doing different projects. And then I'm going to hand it back to Sarah so that she can talk to you more about Generation On resources.
Great. Thanks so much, Betsy. What we really love about Learning to Give at Generation On is that they provide a perfect complement to the tools and resources that we have here at Generation On. So you can come to generationon.org and find project guides and fact sheets. And then you can head over to learningtogive.org and find lesson plans to supplement those materials. And so, you know, as I just mentioned, Generation On has a fact sheet around literacy for kids and families that's already ready to go and has a lot of those great statistics that I shared earlier. We also have a fact sheet around literacy for teens that is coming soon. And then in terms of lesson plans, you can always visit learningtogive.org, and you can also visit generationon.org, and in the educators section, we will also have those lesson plans listed. So I'm going to take you really briefly to that part of the Generation On website here so I can show you what that looks like. So you can see here that in the educator section under lessons and more, you can go to featured Learning to Give lessons and then featured lessons and find what we have to offer and what Learning to Give has provided for the month. And so you'll see here all of the lesson plans that Betsy just went over, and you can click onto them and into Learning to Give. And you can also see what we've had for previous months. There's also some great tools for you here as a teacher or educator to learn more about philanthropy education and to learn more about service learning in general. So this is a great page for educators to visit. And then if you are looking for project guides, just really briefly, generationon.org/kids under the project tab, you can find the literacy-based projects here. And there's a bunch of them that I shared. This Bookshare library box is a wonderful one. And then similarly, if you are working with teens, you can go to generationon.org/teens and you can find projects that are applicable for that age group here. Under resources, we have our fact sheets. We also have things like podcasts and selected readings that you might want to use to deepen that learning experience with the young people that you're supporting. And so thank you so much for spending time with Generation On and Learning to Give today to learn a little bit about the issue of literacy and how young people can make their mark on that issue through volunteer service and learning. Thank you so much, and we will come back to you next month and tell you about what we have in